Hello and welcome to the Bluefish Astrology YouTube channel. I'm Lily Walker, and today I wanted to come on for just a little bit and talk about the South Node lunar eclipse in Virgo. And as we're here right now in this eclipse window, I think we can all agree that a lot of things done gone down. Since February 17th and the beginning of the fire horse year and that eclipse, a lot of things have happened, not only in the larger world around us, like in the sense of the mundane astrology, but also likely in our own personal worlds and that, arise around us and the people and places and activities that we get into in our own field and mandala. So a lot of things have happened in this eclipse window, and it's rather intense, okay? So I wanted to start by taking a minute to bring us back to center, to the throne seat in our own heart, and to the breath that are the reins of our own wind horse, and to the wheels inside of wheels that are our own Okema, light body vehicle or chariot. Because player's gonna play, and propagandists are going to spin. But the fire horse is all about cultivating discriminating wisdom. We need to go high with our love and what we desire and what we're attracted to. And in my view, there is no higher task in this moment than Pluto in Aquarius and the urge to transmute, transform, and alchemize our neural networks of interdependent connection, and to harness the raw volcanic phoenix power to rhizome the reed flutes and come into concert with our Vajra siblings and fellow Chelas, and as Jason has laid down with the roots reggae, the artistes, the greatest of these from the west to the east, because we rise as one. Our love and our desire and our attraction in this moment is for Apollo, the pure sunlight that radiates the Pure Land. The guru of the great sun, Padmasambhava, and also Jesus, like with the Son of God, right? The sunlight. These archetypes also work well here, okay? So Apollo is the sun god, yes, but he's also more than that. He's the god of the seven rays that ray forth from the sun, the seven colors of the rainbow, the seven notes in the harmonic before the octave, and the seven chakras, etc. So he's also the god of music and divination. And Orpheus, who I talked about in the last video, is actually the son of Apollo. Okay. So hopefully you know about that stuff and kind of get the picture of where I'm going here. In 2026, the fire horse year, Apollo is what we desire. So, and we're like racing to build this track in order to make our way like towards that reality, to the Pure Land, come hell or high water. So in this sense, all of that mundane astrology that's going on in the larger world is fundamentally of little consequence or importance to us. All that is largely other humans using astrology, to be honest. So what matters most is our mandala, our throne seat, our battle chariot, blessed by Krishna. What matters is what we're doing. So we need to keep our head in the game and our eyes on the ball. So with that in mind, I'm going to talk, share this digital zine with you and talk a little bit about the South Node in Virgo eclipse. Okay, so the South Node lunar eclipse in Virgo, it's going to be a full moon in Virgo, occluded by the South Node, and it's going to be at 12 degrees Virgo, and it's happening on March 3rd. Okay. And so this is kind of like my opening slide for this eclipse. And I really love these pictures because these two B pictures really really illustrate well the like dichotomy between Virgo and Pisces. So we have Pisces here, you know, all dreamy and a little messy and colorful. And then we have the Virgo side kind of, you know, they're actually police officers kind of looking at this Pisces being like, what you talking about, Willis? Um, Virgo very much is pragmatic and would love to see Pisces dreams come true, but Pisces can be over rose-colored romantic and doesn't always have a firm grasp of reality. So it's really the partnership and the balancing between these two energies that helps us to pull off, you know, whatever it is that we're setting out to usher into the world or build out into manifestation. And so I typically talk about a Virgo full moon about as like tempering the dream with reality. And in this case, however, it's a little different because we're actually letting go a little bit of the tendency to overstress and be over anxious about material details and evidence-based strategies or like evidence, you know, that this is going to work out and the rubber's going to meet the road, because this is a south node eclipse, right? And in addition, we're also in a very new time period where winning ideas are going to be maverick. They are not going to have precedent, okay? And so that evidence-based idea, even though, you know, we feel like we need that to feel safe and comfortable and nurtured and taken care of, we actually have to let go of that need to have a solid ground, okay, in order to pull off what's being asked of us this year. And so I want to share with you this slide that has the picture of the eclipse like chart, because not everybody is familiar with how an astrology chart even works, right? So before I get on to explaining some of these things, I just wanted to show you how it shows up on the astrology chart. So we can see here that there's all of these planets here in Pisces, and then we have the Virgo full moon in opposition to that. Another thing to notice is that Jupiter in Cancer is trine to the full moon or to the sun here and sextile to the full moon. So he's an aspect here. And he's especially an aspect with the ruler of the full moon, Mercury. So that's interesting to note, especially because Jupiter's going to go direct shortly after the full moon, a few days, near a week afterwards. We have like a series of transits. And then Jupiter goes direct, and it's going to kind of funnel us into setting a new moon intention in Pisces. So all of this is really working to help us rework our vision and our like that image that we have in our creative imagination for manifesting and law of positive attraction and things like this. And so an opposition between Virgo and Pisces is going to be a conflict of energies, and it's counteracting. Those two energies are very different and contradictory. And so we're being asked to balance the opposites, and we need to integrate. So a South Node eclipse it's interesting. I learned this from Joseph Crane, that though is actually like the South Node represents the Western corner. And that's like the time of the fall equinox. So that's where we get this delineation of things beginning to fall apart, okay? Because that Western corner is dry. And we know that in the, you know, wheel of the year, that is the place where things begin to fall apart. However, it's not the southern bendings are like the innermost point of the blue shift right before it goes red. But the South Node is more where things start to fall apart. And it relates to the end breath and to the raising our will to let go and like let God. It's where we're like going into ourself and shedding layers as we're coming closer and closer to divinity. So like there's not the self there. So we're shedding layers. So we're letting go. In a lunar eclipse will relate to our astrality, not to our etheric body, which is our spirit plant that grows. It's related to the astrality. So it's related to the projection or the lunar cave of reality and what we think it is. And we're letting go of pieces of that. It's almost like it's being cut out and sent away from us. So this will relate to feelings and emotions and triggers and beastie astrality, lunar cave kind of material, Leela, Maya, or illusion. And so we're letting go of over anxious and overwhelmed almost feelings about the details and how the details aren't coming together and how we don't have this evidence-based way to move forward, and that we're just kind of flying on a wing in a prayer. But that is the energy. So let's talk a little bit about Virgo, because this is how we're going to be feeling, because it's a full moon in Virgo, which also means that it's the fruition of the new moon intentions that we set in Virgo back in late August or early September, right? So we set intentions then, and we'll see those coming to fruition. Many of the things that we were thinking at that time are coming back around again. And if you pay attention, you'll notice that. One thing I noticed was that at work, we put up a labyrinth for the new moon in Virgo. And then I came into work the other day and the labyrinth was back down, because here we are at the fruition, right? It hadn't been back down since then. So that's a very real thing that happened. Okay. So Virgo energy, Virgo is the time in the wheel of the year where the harvest, the fruits have been grown and they're so beautiful, and they're starting to be cut down and sorted. It's like sorting the good from the bad, the beans. We put the black ones here and the white ones there, and oh, this one's good and this one's not. And so it's sorting, classifying, organizing. It often has purity and virtue tests, and lots of black and white thinking, and measuring and taking stock of what it is that we have. The idea here is that we're packaging it in order to distribute, right? Because we want to share the wealth of what we've grown and offer it as a gift to beings, because Virgo is very service oriented like that. So we're kind of wrapping our mind around the numbers and what we have and how we're going to distribute and how we're going to divide and that sort of thing. And so Virgo can, brings up these ideas about minding the gaps, or like drilling down into the detail and noticing where there are discrepancies in the accounts. Okay. And so these sorts of things will be tempering how we feel on the Virgo full moon. So we're going to be feeling like we really wish that we had these details, and we're going to be noticing those gaps where, we don't have what we need, at least in an evidence-based way, to manifest or to pull off what we need to do this year, as we're making plans in Pisces about the vision for our field, right? Like we're going to draw a line here. I'm going to put carrots there. That's going to be orange. Oh, we're going to do some yellow sunflowers there. We'll do some red poppies. Let's do some blueberries. We've got this image of how we're going to plan the field, right? And so that's what we're working on in Pisces. And here in Virgo, we're like at this full moon, we're like, but I don't have any blueberry seeds or blueberry, we're tripping ourselves up over details that aren't coming together. It's probably way more deep than that, though, as we'll get on to, because this Mercury rules this full moon and he's in fall and retrograde. So we'll get on to that. But for the meantime, for this moment, we're trying to understand this dichotomy between Virgo and Pisces, where we have a full moon in Virgo and a full-on assembly of planets in Pisces, okay? So Pisces, on the other side, a dichotomy from Virgo, is very dreamy and vulnerable and imaginative. Pisces is the time of the year where we're in the crystalline sea. The new year has just been birthed, and it's coming through those waters, and it's getting ready to take charge and push its head out and, take charge across the land. And so it's in that sort of dream state before it wakes up. And so these keywords are related to Pisces. So as mentioned, we have a full assembly in Pisces right now. We have the sun, or our basic character, like our hero character, and like the main character of our life and movie is feeling very dreamy and vulnerable and imaginative and like it wants to get its vision together, right? But there's something that's just hasn't quite clicked yet. And then Mars, our fighting abilities, I called it the mighty general, are our action. We're taking action by maybe chiseling the vision of the dream a little bit or acting on it, and, enacting, initiating the dream sequence kind of thing. But Mars rules the things like inflammation and rashes and spearheading forward, right? This Mars in Pisces reminds me a lot of the King of Cups from the Crowley deck, or maybe even the Prince of Cups, where he's riding on that. He's like in the water and he's riding on this black eagle in the water. So it's Mars in Pisces is very stealthy and slippery and secretive in that way, not as secretive as Mars and Scorpio, that really is manipulative with emotions and things, but Mars in Pisces is still slippery. And Venus is there, the youthful muse, beauty and sense pleasure and our adornments. So the aesthetic and style right now will be very Venus and Pisces. Mercury is also there, who's the word or the narrator of our thoughts and mental schema and communications and commerce and short travel. So in essence, we have all of our inner personal planets are in Pisces, really trying to figure out what is our vision, what is the worldview even in this moment, and how do we hang our vision board on walls that aren't even there, that sort of thing. So in this moment, we have a lot of energy focused on bringing together in our mind what is our vision board or manifesting vision for the year, and creative imagination and spirituality as well. Spirituality is really high right now, especially because Neptune and Aries and Saturn in Aries, which we'll get on to talking to, but people are like, are feeling it, like what they believe about God. And so that makes sense too, that we have a lot of planets in Pisces. So here we get on to the fact that Mercury is at fall in this eclipse and he does not have what he needs. And so that's why I feel like this eclipse is going to be worrisome. It's going to be, people are going to be anxious, and they have been already as this moon has been waxing, right? So Mercury went retrograde as after Saturn in Aries made conjunction and Neptune made conjunction in Aries. It's like Mercury's got to go back and wrap his mind around, oh my gosh, like how are we even seeing this? How do we connect all of this in the waters and come up with a vision and a context for how we're going to step forward given that reality? And it is the first time that that Saturn's not in Pisces and Neptune is not in Pisces. So Mercury is, and these planets are there without those planets for the first time in a while. And that whole inner assembly kind of just trying to figure out this Pisces space of what our vision is. And unfortunately, it's a hard scrabble. Okay. So how that stable square of Saturn and what we need, the ground that supports us and what we stand on and the containers that hold that's been decimated, right? It's like disintegration. I feel like Robert Smith from The Cure, like the Disintegration album, it's like that is our time period. There's nothing holding anymore. There's no precedent. And so how that stable square is going to come in together in the world is another question, but in our own life, how is the stable square going to come together to support us? And yeah, it's Saturn and Aries problems, but it's also true that this is whatever this thing that's driving us crazy, like a pea under our princess mattress, that just keeps us up at night worrying because this stable square will not come together. Like this is an old koan. It's not a brand new thing. This is something we've been stressing about for a while, but unfortunately now we've stepped over the cliff and we've got to get it to come together, come hell or high water, or fall. I don't know. It's like we're just like we're free falling a bit, and now it's like, oh my gosh, we've got to get this stable square together. So Mercury's going backwards, kind of reviewing what's our vision for this and how are we going to do it, right? So the South Node in Virgo is telling us that we need to let go of some things in order to pull this off, because the North Node is in Pisces. So it's asking us to bring in more imagination, more willingness to use big fat colors and watercolor details, and more to be more gullible. Like Pisces is gullible, yes, because Pisces believes. Pisces is a true believer. And it's asking us, this energy and this time period is asking us to be more like true believers. I think Alice Bailey has one of the rays that's like absolutely like that. I can't remember which one, and I think I have it, like the devoted true believer. But that is the energy that's coming in right now and asking. We're receiving that in grace. So that's, God is gifting us that and asking us to accept it. So with the South Node in Virgo, we're being asked to let go of the devil in the details and needing things to show up perfect before we start building, or over analyzing and rationalizing, or minding the gaps versus the flow state. So, you think about that, minding the gaps. I think about accounting in that, and like discrepancies in the account and gap accounting. That's probably why I think of that. But really, mind the gap has to do with stepping on subways or trains, and there's like a gap. So it says, mind the gap, don't let your leg fall in it, right? But if you're more in a flow state, you're not looking for those pitfalls and those potholes. You're going, you're in the zone, and you just fly over those, right? You don't have to think about not falling in them. And if we're overthinking about falling in the potholes, we are gonna fall in them, right? So we have to let go of that sort of needing to have the ground come together, and to feel so stable and secure about it, and in that way. And so that we're like so pragmatic and practical and grounded, right? Because that's not possible right now. And so it is very true that this full moon in Virgo is in the terms of Venus and Pisces. And Venus is, it's in the terms of Venus in Virgo, which is at fall, but it's related to wherever Venus is now. And Venus is in Pisces, exalted. So this moon does not have dignity by rulership, but it does have dignity by terms. And that dignity, 100%, is coming from the weight of our spiritual samaya. That weight, it's like, what is the gold carat weight of your samaya? And that if you've got a ton of gold in that, you're gonna be fine, right? Like don't trip, right? So Venus values the spiritual waters of creative imagination and visions and images and poetry and divination and the muses and the golden chain of lineage and the sunlight of Apollo. And so this is about magnetizing by way of primal trust and agape. That's love that's free from desire, that we talked about earlier. We know that this is samsara. So, the mundane things may or may not come together. It's samsara, that its inherent nature is suffering. We don't expect that to be perfect ever. It's like Pema Chodron talks about, we try to get it to pause on perfect. But we can't even do that. We kind of get it arranged perfect for a minute, and we want to just like craggle it, like in the Lego movie, and pause it there. But inevitably it falls apart, even when we do get it to perfect, right? So, but this is, kind of saying that samsara is never going to actually come together and be perfect. So whatever's happening with the mundane astrology is happening, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that we can't bring forward or usher forward beautiful things into this world in the meantime, right? And so those things and being able to grow those things this year has everything to do with our samaya, or our trust, our primal trust in our refuge and in God to see us through, right? Because, God may or may not materialize our dreams or something physical, may or may not materialize that. But literally the worst thing that could happen is we would die and go to God, so like, I don't know why we're stressed, right? Like, we do our best to help the beings, all the strange birds that come to our pond. We remain calm and we keep the vision going and keep the high vibe going, right? Because I don't think it's going to come to that in so many, in a lot of senses, right? So this moon is in the terms of Venus. So being in the terms means that the Venus manages it. She is the boss of it. She is the manager. She has to accomplish the task. And Venus in Pisces is what accomplishes the task. And that is spiritual samaya. So if you have faith and belief and use positive mindset and the power of attraction, say one manifest. There's no need to be stressed. You've already been blessed, manifest, exactly like this. So that's why I was recommending that Jocelyn playlist, because it really helps you get in the right mindset. So the full moon eclipse in Virgo, that's what I said. I went high. What if it all goes right? Stop waiting to create the life you truly want. Be kind to your mind. All of these images came from Pinterest, by the way. And so I do believe that at least 4 of these are probably from the same artist, but that doesn't tell me who they are. So, so it's a fruition of the new moon intention from August 23rd. Jupiter turns direct March 9th. And we're going to be feeling overwhelmed by missing details and the need to get our poop in a scoop and let go of needing things to be perfect. Attend to low-hanging fruit. That was a good message. And accept stepping stones to progress. It's progress over perfection, and also belief in good things to come and hope, because that Jupiter is going to turn direct, right? It's at this place right now and it's going to turn direct, so yeah, we're weighing things. And I put a video up on my Facebook account that kind of talks about some of those things that we're weighing, and with Jupiter and Cancer getting ready to go direct, and the fact that Saturn and Neptune are in Aries and going to make a whole sign, make trines by fire signs this year. Talked about that a little bit, and kind of really looking again at these ties that bind and who's at our table. And if they don't believe the same things that we believe, how it's going to be really hard to pull off manifesting a dream together. And also that this flip of Jupiter at retrograde, turning direct in this moment, is also like Jupiter in Cancer has been increasing our capacity to care for self and others. And that has been really warm waters after Mars, was in there and retrograded in Cancer. So we were feeling really like accommodating of other people and wanting just to nurture those ties that bind, and putting people over ideas or, things like this. Putting people over pragmatism, even just wanting to nurture people and keep the waters warm and the table open. But as this Jupiter turns direct, that tone's shifting a little bit. And because so much energy of 2026 is self-focused, Aries and Leo are very self-focused signs. And we're finding that we really need to take care of ourselves. Like, we can't take care of our people. We may have an open table, but there's an actual table, family table, right? And we can't, and we, those people are in our charge, and we can't take care of ourselves, of those people at our table, if we don't take care of ourselves. So there's some revisions and work kind of massaging going on there with related to the ties that bind and who it is that we are like establishing those neural networks of connection to at this kind of new table that's forming, right? Because we want people at that table that are able to help us bring the dream that we seek to bring into the world. And that can't happen if we don't have the same manifesting vision, right? Like, if we don't have the same picture, then we're not going to be able to bring the same thing in. And so, so tempering the dream with a dollop of reality, and I put that the reality is that you're a precious tiny dancer in a benevolent universe that's like ensouled, right? An ensouled benevolent universe conspiring for your benefit. And that worry is a misuse of imagination, and reminding people about the power of positive thinking and that the spiritual heavyweight of Samaya, and let imagination lead. That's one of my lines. Take refuge with primal trust, believe in miracles, find the others, play your note, be good family, and rhizome the reed flutes, which that's definitely one of mine too, and is my new favorite saying. But anyway, you can look at this digital picture zine. I have it posted both on my Instagram account and my Facebook account. And you know, if you're starting to feel like stressed out and over anxious during the time of this eclipse, which could happen, right? Trying to get the details together. We really just need to take a breath and let it go, right? And trust God, and trust that God is good, primal trust that God is going to see us through. And we need to listen to music and remind ourselves of themes that we were thinking about in 2012. When Pluto was square Uranus, and these things started that like created an angle of conflict. It was like a handle, and things started to gush out, right? And we need to go back and review those things that were gushing out, because those were true, okay? And so, like I said, politicians going to play and propagandists going to spin, but those people were trying to co-opt our rise, okay? And we knew and we know. So we need to go back to that time of 2012 and remember the power that we have, and remember that the power we have together. And we need to connect to those people that are going to be able to walk forward into this new earth with us, and start working on building collectives and building different ways for people to connect and come together. That's really one of the most important things that the communities need right now. So they need places to gather, places to meet in person, places to work on, all of their different pieces that they need for their businesses, like making t-shirts, making stickers, doing recordings, having good sound, all of these things, because this is the way that the future is moving forward, and people are going to need to be able to do these things, and not everybody knows how, and also not everyone can afford the equipment, these sorts of things. So these are things I'm thinking about. But okay, so with that, I'm just going to say thanks for being here. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening, and I hope everyone has happy and like ease of letting go under the Virgo full moon, and that we kind of see these things that we're tripping about, and we just let it go, and we trust God, and we let our imagination lead, and we come into that space of creative imagination and visioning boarding. And I almost want to say fake it till you make it, but it's reminding me that there is no fake it till you make it in 2026, that you will be called out on that and exposed. So we don't want to do that, right? We don't want to create some sort of plastic or artificial vision of ourselves. What we're looking, and then try to actualize it, right? Like what we're looking for is authenticity. So more like trust your authentic self and your authentic heart, and God to lead you where you're meant to go, and to support you, and to trust, to trust that. And like the strongest thing that we can have right now is Samaya, which is relying on our teachers with full faith and devotion, and knowing that no matter what, they're going to see us through. So there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to stress over. All we have to do is just let go and let God. Okay, so I love you guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.